Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Souza Group's Meet the Expert series. Today, we're going to be talking with Leslie Peters of the law firm of Cohen and Hertz in Bethesda, and she is going to be providing some insight on how the worlds of family law and real estate can interact with each other. Today, I'm going to ask Leslie a couple of questions, and we're going to start with, what sort of legal issues have arisen in your personal cases, Leslie, that can impact property ownership?
Well, hi, Brett. Thank you for having me. Just two quick asterisks or disclaimers. First is I just can't hold myself out as an expert, but rather I do specialize in family law, and that's my background. And secondly, I'm sure they won't, but I wouldn't want anyone to see this video and misconstrue that my suggestions or experiences that I'm going to be discussing today necessarily apply in their case. So certainly everyone's case is different, and I definitely recommend if anyone has these issues arise, go see a lawyer. So your question was about what sorts of property issues arise in the cases that I handle. And pretty much every divorce case deals with property issues in some way or another, whether it's a high value, high asset case or less so. There's every married couple, they acquire property at some point during the course of their marriage, whether it's a lot or a little. So one thing that a judge would need to determine is what property is marital and the value of that property, and whether or not there should be a monetary award in favor of one spouse or the other, in order to offset maybe the financial circumstances of each party at the end of the divorce. So the biggest issue that typically comes up is regarding the real property, the marital home typically. And it depends on if the parties are in agreement of, neither one of us want anything to do with this house anymore. So maybe they agree to just list it for sale, get it on the market, and they just divide the proceeds as they see fit with the advice of their attorneys. Or if they both want the house, then what would end up happening is that the judge would simply order it to be sold. And also another option would be that the parties can agree that one can buy out the other. And if they agree, or if they don't agree on a value, they can either agree on an appraiser, or they can each agree to hire their own appraiser, and they decide that the value of that house is somewhere in the middle. And then if one party is able to, then they can buy out the other party, and they end up owning the house outright. So those are really the main issues, and a lot of those can be avoided by having a prenuptial agreement. If you agree that if property is titled a certain way, or the source of funds that was used to purchase that property is considered non-marital, then those would be a way of protecting yourself in the event of divorce if you feel like maybe you contributed more to the marital property.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And our second question today is, why is it important for anyone to have an up-to-date will?
Sure, it's always really important to keep your will updated. We have people as young as you and me coming in to get their wills done, especially if you have young children. You want to make sure that you've listed someone or another couple perhaps to have guardianship of your child or children in the event that you and the children's other parent pass away before they turn or reach the age of majority. So you definitely want to keep that updated in case the person that you name, perhaps circumstances change and that they are no longer, it's no longer in the best interest of the children for that person to be appointed as their guardian. And then also with things like property, you want to make sure that as your situation evolves over the years, the property situation in our case in our 30s is going to be a lot different than it is when we're in our 60s. So if there's new property that you've acquired that you want to make sure is described in your will to say, yes, I got this gold watch, I want to make sure that it goes to my daughter over my son, that kind of thing. That's always important to update as the years go by. And then if you dispose of other property, so it doesn't really do much good if you leave your beach house to your son, but then you sold the beach house and then your son learns down the road there is no beach house for him to inherit. So those would be reasons that you would want to keep your will updated, just to make sure that your whole financial and property situation is accounted for, and also if you need guardians named for your children.
Thank you again, Leslie, for taking the time to chat with us today, and thank you for sharing your experiences with us.
Sure. Thank you for having me.